Jennifer here. Today I wanted to talk about two different things. Number one, an observation I had about children's television shows, and number two, give advice on what children can do instead of watching TV. This is particularly helpful for the summer months when there's no school and there's just lots of hours in the day to fill. But we don't want our children just to be screen zombies all summer long, just playing video games constantly, watching too much television. We want them to get out and use their imaginations and be creative. So in this video, I wanted to give you a few ideas. Many of them are just obvious, but it's sometimes nice to hear a list of ideas for our children, because we don't want to get into that trap of just constantly watching screens. Also, beyond that, not just because of screens just being bad in and of themselves, I'm not necessarily saying that, but I think that a lot of the content that our children watch, we aren't really aware of it. We think, oh, it's a cartoon, so it's just harmless. But they really aren't. Many cartoons have negative messages in them. And I've made it a point recently to watch some of the shows along with my daughters, and I was really appalled by one of them. So let's get to that first. So basically, my middle child, my youngest daughter, one day she really wanted to watch Lego Girls. I don't know if that's what it's called. I think it's called Lego Friends. And it's on Netflix. And she loves Legoland. Both of my daughters do. So, and they love Legos. They love playing with Legos. And so when Lego Friends, the show, came on, they were really excited and they wanted to watch Lego Friends. So they had watched a few episodes of it and I was sort of paying attention to it, but not really. And then on one of the episodes, she was watching it and I was cleaning the kitchen at the time. So I was able to watch the whole show. And I was so appalled by the content in this episode. It just was a huge wake-up call for me. And I think I was meant to see that. And so I was able to just make, an executive decision in particularly about that show. Now, I don't know what age Lego Friends is marketed toward. It could be marketed toward older girls, but I don't care how old your daughter is. I thought that this was an inappropriate content. So basically, the gist of the episode was that the girls were going away for a weekend to help one of the girls' family members with a horse who was going to have a baby horse. So I thought, oh, that's fine. It's an equestrian theme and they all go out to the countryside. Well, the subplot was that there was a cute boy who lived out there, and one of the girls liked the boy. But then the girl who grew up there, who knew the boy since he was young, she liked him too, or she decided she liked him then. And they started fighting over the boy. And the other girls were like, oh, if you like him, you should just go for it. And then there was all these themes of jealousy and scarcity, like this was the only boy, and just way too mature for a young girl. My daughter's 5. And I feel like even if she was 10, the message was wrong. It was just jealousy and fighting over a boy. It's just too much for young girls. Personally, this is what I believe. You may disagree with me. You may think that they need to be exposed to that. But I think that in a lot of these shows, they'll show really negative behavior from the characters. And then at the end, they'll tell a moral to the story, or they'll wrap it up in a nice little bow and try to tell you how you should act or how you should behave. But unfortunately, for the entire half hour, the child has been witnessing the negative behavior, and that's what sears into their minds. They don't even remember the moral of the story. So I just thought, all this discussion of boys and, oh, you should go for it, and the fighting and the jealousy and all of that was just way too much for my daughter. So I turned it off halfway through the episode. I'm like, you're not watching this. And she was mad, of course. But I just had to have a discussion with her that I didn't think that the content was appropriate. I didn't spend too much time on it because I didn't want her thinking about it too much. It just changed her attention span. So there's that show, which I thought was a pretty safe show. And then there's shows that I haven't even watched, but all I see is the characters, like the Brats and the Monster High, I think it is, where the girls all look like kind of dead zombies and they're wearing these outfits and all this makeup and stuff. These are not the types of things that I want my daughters absorbing And I do, as a parent, have control over that as of right now. So I am taking that into consideration. I do have a list of television shows that I think are good and not don't send really bad messages, and I can leave that list of shows below. And if you have any shows that you recommend that are wholesome, that aren't talking about, jealousy and topics that are just too advanced for younger children, please leave those below because I'd love to discover some new ones. But I did compile a little list here of ideas that your children could do instead of watching TV. So we don't watch very much TV in our house at all. The girls really don't watch TV that much, especially during the school year. They don't watch it at all on the weeknights. Sometimes, as an exception, they will, but not at all on weekdays, and maybe 1 or 2 shows at the weekend. So we already are a family that does not watch very much TV. We do have a movie night once a week. But I just wanted to write what we do instead, and it fills up their time, and I think that these are some great ideas. So hopefully it will give you some ideas of what you can do with your children instead of watching TV. So the first one I have here is learning to draw, and we recently went to the library and picked up some drawing books, and these are pretty advanced, but I tell you, my daughters sit down with them and they will work for an hour on these. And one of them, you draw a horse, and it shows you the step by step. And of course, our final drawings do not look like the professional ones, but it's just fun to get there, and it teaches them something. It allows them to focus, and I love those types of books. So you could learn to draw. Build a fort. Now this is a very messy activity, but I think it's necessary, and I do let my daughters do this. So they will take our living room furniture and take all the cushions off and just build a fort, and they love it. It's just, they laugh, they giggle, it's fun. At the end of the day, we all clean it up together, and I remember doing that as a kid. I think it's a great activity for them to do, especially for a rainy day. Cooking and baking. Now, when you are in the kitchen cooking, let your children follow you and come along. And I know they can't do all the stuff at the hot stove necessarily, but have them do something for you. They can shred the cheese, or they can, mix things, or whatever it is that you want them to do. Get them involved in what you're doing and allow them to do it with you. That's how they will learn anyway. This one, chores and organization. I put this in here because many times we forget. We just want to pack our children's days with such fun things and activities, but we forget that we actually do have to work as a family to keep the house running. And chores take time, and organization takes time. So rather than just having their room be a complete disaster while they go off and have fun all day, I do think that it's worth it for part of the day to say, all right, ladies, your drawers are really messy. I'd like you to refold all of your clothes and put them back in. Or give them something that's going to take them a while to do. Don't make it a punishment. Make it fun. Do it with them and teach them to enjoy looking after their space. This takes time. And if they're bored, they can go clean their room. Reading, that's a big one. If your child knows how to read, if your child is at the age where they're learning, like I'm teaching my 5-year-old to read right now, it's so rewarding. It is so much fun, and I love it. So spend time reading with them, having them read to you. Another idea is to have them listen to an audiobook. So give them some crayons and some paper, and they can just draw while they listen to somebody read a classic children's book or something like that. We've listened to The Wind in the Willows, Alice in Wonderland, and various others, but it's nice for them to hear good literature being read to them as well. The next one is pretty obvious. If you can play outside, if it's a nice day, swimming, riding your bike, running around, that unscheduled free time is so important. We had that as children. Our children have it less and less. We're just constantly scheduling them. First you do this, then we're doing that, then we're doing this. Let them have the afternoon off to just go outside and pick grass or whatever they do. I don't know what they're doing, but just let them play outside. They could put on a play. I used to do this with my cousin. My cousin and I, every time we saw each other, we would put on a play, a big scale production with tickets and seats and refreshments and beverages, and it was hilarious. I wish we had the videos from it. We don't, but anyway. Good memories and creative. Have them put on a play. Go on a walk. If you're exercising, you want to go on the walk, take the whole family with you and let them get out and get some exercise. I went on a really long walk the other day with my husband and my baby and my middle daughter, and it was so it was such an adventure. We ran into horse trails, we saw some beautiful houses. It was just really nice. This is a great one. This is one of my favorites. So if you have daughters and you are exhausted, something I will do is say, girls, let's play beauty salon. I just lay on the floor and then they will pamper me. They give me foot massages, they'll do my nails, they'll brush my hair, they'll put makeup on me and all this kind of fun stuff. I just let them go to town, and it's a great activity for when I'm exhausted. I don't have to do much, I just lay there. Of course, afterward I've got a lot to do. I've got to take off all the makeup and everything, but it's so fun and they just really enjoy that. So that's a good one. Obviously playing dolls. My girls are really into the American Girl dolls and they play for hours with them. So they love doing that. Playing school, that's a big one. My older daughter loves to play school with the younger daughter. So she'll give her homework, she'll teach her things and read books to her, and I'll look at their notes afterwards and they're hilarious. There's like the hall monitor and the teacher's aide, and all the little notes that they write down are so funny. So you could just kind of create that environment to get them started if they can't do it themselves. You could teach them to learn a new skill like tying their shoe, snapping their fingers, whistling, all of this stuff. You know, they have to learn and it takes time. So if they're bored, okay, you know what, let's learn how to tie a shoelace right now. You can make things like Play-Doh, you can make obolek. I can leave recipes for both of those down below. We've done both of them and they love it. They take a lot of time playing with these things. And then my last tip is whatever activity they're doing, you can prolong that by playing classical music, and I'm not kidding. So I love playing classical music, and I have noticed that when they play and there's no music on, no background noise, they'll play, but then they'll quickly get bored. But when I play classical music on low, they just go for longer periods of time. There's just something about listening to that music and the concentration and the relaxing ability that really helps them. So I hope that this has given you inspiration of things to do with your children other than watching TV. And I do agree that TV and shows, all of that stuff can have negative effects on our children. Not all of it. And in moderation, I think it's fine. But I did want to hear from you on two fronts. Number one, what have you noticed about the television shows? Have you noticed negative content in them like I do? And number two, what are your favorite activities to do with your children that don't involve screens? Let us know in the comment section below, and your comment could be chosen as Comment of the Week on the Daily Connoisseur. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next time on the Daily Connoisseur.